I didn't think I would be making this, but here we are. Um, I decided, you know what? I'm gonna rewatch this series. I'm gonna rewatch it. It's the only time I've ever really watched a series whole was when I was a kid, and or when I was in high school, and they were showing on Nicktoons every now and then. But other than that, I never really sat down to really binge Avatar: The Last Airbender. I never did it. So this was an actual very refreshing experience to me. And it makes you wonder, will they ever make something like this ever again? Or maybe it was just um, lightning in a bottle. It was really something that could never happen again. And because of that, it's the reason why it's so phenomenal. It's so looked back on. It's something that's amazing, even with its sequels that came out. I did review The Legend of Korra weekly for seasons 2 through 4, and I remember myself enjoying it. But I did binge that again. I have some thoughts about it after that. But Last Airbender, I was wondering if I would hate it or would I dislike it or like it less than I did before as a child. Watching Avatar as a kid when it first aired felt different. It was like it felt like what it did when you're watching Toonami on Cartoon Network. Because you were used to watching these other cartoons as a child, the goofy ones, even ones with some serious plot, it still had its goofiness. But then you see something like Tenchi, Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, Gundam, Yu Yu Hakusho. Something where it felt like there were truly high stakes. Cyborg 009, Outlaw Star, the maturity, it just hit different. The theme, the setting, everything about it during that time just felt so mature. Like you're watching something that's meant for adults, but it wasn't like The Simpsons or Family Guy or any other adult animation back in the day that was just comedy. It felt like it took its audience seriously. There were stakes on the line, the danger, all that good stuff. Then Nickelodeon never had anything like that. It never did. It had good shows like Hey Arnold, I Was Told by Ginger, and My Life as a Teenage Robot, and other things, but it never had anything to that extent of seriousness. Something. But as we all know, most Toonami stuff came from Japan. So without Toonami, Cartoon Network would have nothing that serious on the line until Nickelodeon did something. Nickelodeon created Avatar: The Last Airbender. Something so it felt different, but it was here made in America. But it was based off of the concept of Eastern culture. It still was made here in America. So it truly felt unique and different. It had its goofy, perky moments, so that's why it felt more impactful when the serious things happen. I remember when I was a kid, when you were watching it back in the day, when it was weekly, sometimes they'll air the same episode over and over again. And as a kid, we most of us do this. We always like to watch the same thing over and over again. We just did. I think even with anime, I would watch the same thing over again. I won't count the number of times I saw Bakuno or Code Geass over and over again. And then as I got older, I'm like, I'll watch this every so often, but not over and over again. That'll be crazy. But kids like to do that every now and then, watch the same thing over and over again. Now I understand the Teletubbies thing. We're like, again, again. But it was just different for back then. Back then, watching Avatar, you had to really wait for that next episode, if it even does come out. Sometimes you'll have to wait a week or two for the next episode to come out. So it felt like this show was much longer than it actually was. So after finally watching it on Nicktoons mainly, when it was actually airing correctly weekly, even though it was the same old episode, but it was doing it weekly because it was on Nicktoons. This is around the same time they were releasing Dragon Ball Z Kai, a more well edited version for Dragon Ball Z at the time, which has all 3 seasons out. But anyways, this is when I truly started to watch it weekly and realized that I did enjoy this. Despite watching anime, despite watching more mature content while I was in high school watching this, I still enjoy it very much because of what it did. It did something that most shows sometimes do, well, don't do. Very few often do. and just take the kids seriously. You know, a lot of shows these days are just ADHD on meth. That's what it is. Hyper in your face, crazy memes, trendy stuff, and that is it. And even when they do get something that has an interesting plot, most of the times it's the same copy and paste kind of thing. It's some girl who is tomboyish, who doesn't get along in school. She goes to another world of magic or science, and she fits in there better, and of course, and she goes through this relationship. The same old thing that I've seen, like in Owl House or the other show that that person made, or Star versus Forces of Evil, and stuff like that. It was the same thing over and over again. Even with Steven Universe, with its very questionable things, it fell off by diving too much into it. Where Avatar did a perfect balance. Every now and then you have the gang doing some episodic adventures on their way to their journey, but while the plot is moving forward in the background, whether it will be their chasers or they themselves discovering something, will move the plot forward. But every now and then they'll have those episodes that really stick to them, questioning their methods and things that happens. Like the episode Jet, he hated firebenders. Everyone hated firebenders in the Fire Nation, but attacking innocent people in the process was a no-go for them. So this guy was going to the extreme of what the ideals of what they believe to do, especially when it came to the Fire Nation. Not to destroy everyone in the Fire Nation, but to attack the people who are in control of it instead, so that the Fire Nation itself can change. Or the episode where Katara was learning bloodbending and stuff, and the woman herself was justified in how she felt. She was tortured by the Fire Nation and in prison, so she felt justified in just harming Fire Nation people. She took Katara's water building skills to the next level, to the point where she learned how to just take water out of the fields. Anything that can have water in it, you can take from it and control it. And then to the point she taught her how to use blood bending and stuff. And the main thing of it is that the old lady won at the end is because she passed down her power to Katara. She finally passed down that power to Katara. So Katara now had the power of bloodbending, and you only really saw her use it again when she heard rumors of her mother's killer still out there. So her and Zuko went out to go chase him down, and she used it, proving that she is extremely dangerous and she has to be. This girl is usually about peace. She's usually the smart one, the one that's always about the level-headedness. But she was also seen as the mom of the group, and you got to see her in this very, very dangerous thing. People are forgetting that mama creatures are very dangerous, especially around things that they care about being in danger. So Katara showing that fierceness about her. Or Sokka. Sokka was always the goofball of the group, the guy who was forced upon the role to be the leader, even though no one saw him as that back at the village. But it was thrown upon him that he was the only oldest male in the village that could still fight. So he was doing things that he wasn't truly ready to do yet. But thanks to the adventure, he slowly starts to learn things. He starts picking up on things. He's inventing crazy contraptions, ideas that the group would never think of. He truly did add it on to the group. He thought because he didn't have the bending powers, he thought he probably want to be special, but he was. He had his brain. He was smart. He even picked up learning how to use a sword. He had his boomerang. And at the end of the series, he would always have some crazy idea all the time, from prison breaking to attacking the Fire Nation to taking down tons of fire ship fleets all at once. The dude even learned how to do fake bending. It shows how much he was able to contribute. Toph herself was a girl who was always being, looked down upon and petted because she was blind, but she is indeed the greatest earthbender who ever lived and stuff. And she just wanted to go out there and have fun, to finally be herself. I don't think she ever made things up with her family, but she also learned some control and to love some side of herself. So we have all these amazing characters, and especially a lot of people's favorite character is Zuko. The bad boy, the passionate guy, the guy who's all about his honor. And of course, my favorite is Iroh. The uncle who seems to be goofy, but he has a past. He has a deep, dark past that he's not proud of, and now he seems to wants to redeem himself with his nephew, where he can finally find him some peace and help him become the Fire Lord that he was meant to be. Zuko was always meant to be Fire Lord, but he was exiled. He did end up becoming Fire Lord, but not the way he always thought he would be at the beginning of the series. He thought he would be Fire Lord by finding the Avatar and bringing him in and making the father proud of him and being the good little boy the way he was supposed to be. But instead, he ends up, even when he did do that, he turned away and decided, you know what? I'm going to join the Avatar. I'm going to help the Avatar learn firebending, and then I'm going to fight my sister. And his sister, in a way, was what Zuko wanted to be, a ruthless, merciless, soulless monster who could do anything that father wanted them to do, and then some. But she felt something that Zuko had that she didn't, and that was trust, companionship. At the end of the series, Azula herself, Little Miss Perfect, had no one. She was paranoid of everybody. Even though she was heir to be Fire Lord, she failed at it miserably, banishing everybody, going insane, not in the right mindset because all she thought was she got what she wanted, but she had nothing to withhold herself with. She didn't really sacrifice anything because she had nothing to sacrifice in the first place. The only thing I guess she lost were her best friends who were once on her side until they felt like she was going too insane as well. Too merciless, too much of a monster. And that at the end of the day, the thing she saw at the end was her mom. Her mom is staring at her, and she felt some sort of shame or sadness, whatever it was. She didn't knew how to show it and stuff. Like I said, this show had layers for a kid show. When death was implied, it didn't just show it out front, but it was hinted. You understood. You understood what happened to the other airbenders when you went to the temple. You knew what happened to some of the prisoners within the Fire Nation. It showed hints. It didn't just show you right out front because it was a kids show. So it took the kids very maturely. Like they had a sense of self. Like they understand what was going on. And I respect that very much when adults do that when it comes to kids shows, not to do the baby like, okay, everyone is okay in the end and everything. There's nothing bad. My only gripe, I guess people were mad about at the end, and myself was included, was how Avatar Aang finished off the Fire Lord, or the Phoenix King. I didn't like how he found a solution to take him out, how it just came out of nowhere and stuff. That's why I didn't like how out of nowhere this giant, cool, I love turtles. You know how much I love turtles. But I wish that it was hinted at the end of the series. Like every now and then, people talk about this great creature who understood what bending was and could pass it down to people. Understood, like was able to knew all the secrets of bending. And it'll be hinted out throughout the show, but no one believed the rumors until Avatar's in the middle of nowhere. He's focusing, and finally we see the lion turtle giving him his knowledge. It just felt like it came out of nowhere. The lion turtle. They did explain the lion turtle things in Legend of Korra, but it would have been nice if they just showed it to us during that time, hinted at, because we were seeing all other kind of spiritual creatures throughout the series. Um, and it was nice to see that other side of the world. So it would have been nice if they hinted about the turtle, like they could believe all the other crazy creatures in this world, but no one could believe the giant um lion turtle. That there's no such thing as a giant lion turtle. People have seen that thing if it's so big. But of course, the knowledge of people back in the day, you can understand how deep the ocean was. So out of nowhere, when Aang's in the middle of nowhere in the ocean, the giant mountain turtle could have showed up. He's like, oh, so the rumors are true. I just wish there was a build up towards it, not it just coming out of nowhere and stuff like that. That would have been nice. That is literally my only gripe. That's literally my only gripe with the Avatar: Last Airbender series. only one gripe over a multi-seasonal show. That's crazy. I love the animation, I love the music, I love the characters, I love the plot, the themes, the settings, everything about this show growing up. And rewatching again, binging it this time for the first time ever, I have to say, yeah, the show still holds up. It is the golden pinnacle of Western animation. And it is great. It's nice, you know? It's a good kid show that takes kids seriously and doesn't treat them like they have ADHD all the damn time. But yes, this is definitely something to go back and watch on to truly appreciate the good old times of Nickelodeon and that they had something back in the day, along with Danny Phantom and Jimmy Neutron. I love Jimmy Neutron. Anyways, that's all I got for this video. What do you guys feel about Avatar: The Last Airbender? Did you guys watch it? Did you binge it? Was it really up to the standard as I say it should be? And do you want me to talk about The Legend of Korra next? I did do weekly reviews on it in the past, but I would like to binge it and see my final thoughts on it. Let me know if you all want to do that. That being said, I'll end the video here. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, like, comment, and of course, hit that bell icon. This has the Macron. I'm Anime. Signing out.